All right, so if you sell cars and you want to learn how to do it better, this video is for you. What's up, everyone? I'm Brian Palmer. I own a marketing agency and a sales training company, and I love geeking out on marketing and sales. I also am a huge car nerd, so this kind of video just kind of blends a lot of my passions together. So I've had the pleasure of working with a few car dealerships now and just got off the phone with another one, and I just wanted to share a few things and tips where if you're a car salesperson and you just want to do a little bit better, you want to stand out in a really crowded market, here's some things you can do. So the purpose of this video is I want to start breaking that whole used car salesperson stigma that we all know about, right? It's not a very good one, and we're going to try to change the way you operate to just make the experience a little bit better for both you and the people on the lot. Buying a car today is actually pretty annoying, let's be honest, right? We all kind of know what the process is or used to be and still largely is because it's changing a little bit for the better, but it still has a long way to go. Usually the process is kind of something like this, right? You get in the car, you drive to the car lot. Most of the time, people like going on Sundays because nobody's there and they can kind of drive around. But if you're going during open business hours, whether you really want to buy a car or not, you're going to drive through, you're going to have your windows up, you're going to kind of creep around, you're going to see the flock of salespeople by the door all eyeing you, and then you're going to drive carefully, slowly. You're going to turn a corner and boom, there's a salesperson, big smile on their face, waiting to get you, right? It's like blood in the water. Now, it's gotten a little bit better because at least you're not hounded by 5 different salespeople because there's kind of an order now, which is good, and I'm glad that's happening, but you get the idea, right? It's just not the best experience, and sometimes you just don't want to talk to somebody. You just kind of want to look at what they have on the lot, and you don't want someone literally stopping you, but that's their job, right? That's your job as a car salesperson, to sell cars. But it goes a little bit deeper than that, right? Yes, you need to sell cars, you need to make money, I get that. But I also want you to really focus on just being a trusted consultant. I want you to focus on really helping people, right? Helping people feels good, and you can do that in the car selling industry a little bit easier than you think. We also have to break this whole thing of, you're someone's best friend when they're actively buying a car. You think they're going to buy one, but then after they buy it, or if they don't buy it, you just kind of toss them out to the side and you move on to the next, right? And I don't want you to do that, because that's what really starts giving that bad rep. Car salespeople, they're your best friend until something happens, you buy or you don't buy, and then you never hear from them again. They don't speak to you, they don't call, they don't check in, they don't do anything like that. And I'm gonna show you how to fix that too. So there's a lot of basic sales training that I do when it comes to just how you interact with people, how you develop rapport, how you overcome certain car selling objections. There's a lot of that stuff. Tonality, just how you approach somebody. I can't get into all of that today. But what I do want to get into is just a little bit more of the process, okay? And how you can put a few things in place that are gonna help you stand out, sell more cars, develop better relationships, and just make it easier all around. One thing that we're gonna note throughout here is that the actual selling of the car, the actual transaction is gonna happen in the middle of the process, okay? With all of my trainings, you're gonna see the actual sale, the actual money collecting is really in the middle, and that's where a lot of people go wrong in selling and business development, is they think that is at the end, and that's not. This is going to work for new cars, used cars. It doesn't really matter what you sell. So let's talk about some just basic equipment and things that you're going to have on you when you're on the lot. First, you're going to need some kind of clipboard, right? Because you're going to need to write some things down. And I'll show you why in here in a second. Next, you're going to head over to some little print place like Vistaprint, and you're going to design and print yourself a postcard. Not a business card, a postcard, right? The smallest one you can get because you don't want it to be too big, but you're going to print this out. You're going to make a couple copies of these. I think you do, batches of 100, 200, whatever, right? And if the dealership won't pay for that, that's fine. This is money well spent. It's not very expensive, and this is going to go a long way. So you're going to print this out. Now, Brian, what should I have on my postcard? Glad you asked. Let me kind of show you. So you might be asking, why a postcard? Well, a business card gets lost. Business cards are tiny. Everyone gets business cards. They toss them in their car, they toss them in their pocket. They actually forget about them, and they lose them all the time. A postcard is a lot harder to do that with. So first you're going to make it two-sided, but I'm just going to show you kind of one side, and I'm not going to go through design, obviously, because this is going to be just literally a layout, but you're going to want to have a picture of you. You're going to want to have kind of the car brands, the makes, the logos, the models you sell, whatever, maybe on the top, right? You're going to have a small bio on how long you've been doing this, all that good stuff. Then, here's the bread and butter, right? You're going to put a QR code on there. Yes, a QR code. I've been yelling about QR codes coming back even before the pandemic, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. The best part yet is that they are super trackable. So I'm going to show you two options for a QR code, and you can track which one works the best. When we experiment with QR codes, we want to do two things, right? The first option is they're going to scan that code and they're going to go back to a quick page on your website for the dealership, make one if you don't have one, right? This can kind of be like a landing page for you, right? And they can enter their information and the details of what kind of car or cars they're looking for and provide more information to you. That information then goes into a CRM database. Automation takes into play. You're notified to follow up with them. It's super, super cool, right? So that's just a way for them to connect with you. Now, this is not the dealership's website. This is yours. So maybe it's dealership.com/yourname, right? Or whatever you can do, right? If it's a personal Wix site that you want to make where it's literally yourname.com/car information, that's fine too. You can create a super cheap, easy website or landing page where potential customers can connect with you. The second option is one we're going to cover today, and it's a super cool one, and that is a scan to text QR code. When they scan it on their phones, it opens up a text message directly to you. It's actually pretty cool. So when they scan it, it actually pulls up on their phone the text message app with your number, and they can send you a text message. I'll show you how to use that more and why we're doing that in just a second. So you have this fancy designed, really professional postcard attached to your clipboard. On that clipboard, you actually have some paper to actually jot down notes on the customer, and I'm going to show you what you need to take down. So next, you approach the vehicle with caution. I'm just kidding. I know. It's your job. All right. And you're going to go up to that person when they're driving around the lot. Some are going to keep their window up and try to creep by you and not make eye contact and make it super awkward. Others are going to roll down their window and have a conversation with you. Many sales reps are going to lead with, "Hey, so what brings you in today?" Right? I hate that, right? That's just that blanketed response that everybody uses, and it sounds just really inauthentic. We're going to swap that out with a couple different greeting types that are just really small tweaks, and they work better. Every dealership and sales team I have used this with actually performs better with it. And those are really simple ones, like, "Hey, good afternoon. What questions can I answer?" Or, "Hey, what can I help you find today?" It's just a little bit more natural, less sleazy, less salesy. Try that instead of the, "Hey, what brings you in today?" And yes, it's similar, I know that, but it just puts people's guard down a little bit more. There's a little psychology in sales behind how you talk to people, and that's just something that I found works better. Okay, so remember the clipboard you're holding. This is where you start to use it. Now, you don't need to be weird about this and be asking them questions and then jotting down from your clipboard, and kind of like you're dictating the conversation. We don't want to do that. We want to do this in a more natural way. So it's actually pretty easy to do, but this is where you're collecting information. So many sales reps just don't do this. They're just here to say, "What kind of car are you looking to find?" And they don't put more personal touches on the conversation. So one great thing, a lot of people shop, and they shop with their kids in the car because they're shopping after work or on the weekends. A lot of people are also shopping for cars because maybe their family is growing and they need a different vehicle. So if you approach somebody, you see they have kids in the car, you can say, "Hey, what's up? I see you got two kids back there in the car. What are their names? Hey guys, can I get them some snacks or something to drink?" This automatically does a few things and starts with just personalizing the conversation, making them feel a little bit more welcome, lets their guard down a little bit, and makes you more of a human being. It also does a strategic thing for you, which is keeping the kids happy and occupied. We all know that doing any kind of shopping with kids or any family members is pretty difficult to do. So if you can give them something to occupy their time, some snacks, whatever, that is going to be to your advantage. So if you have kids too, you can kind of carry that conversation on by saying, "Hey, I've got two kids as well. They're 5 and they're 8. They love these snacks. I've got some that I can grab you here in a second back of the office." Or maybe you just have them on you, right? You carried this whole little arsenal of a couple of different snacks, right? Nothing wrong with that. You want to make that buying experience as good as you can for the people buying and the people that are with them. So another huge thing, and this sounds super simple, but when you're introducing yourself, you want to get their names, and by God, you want to remember them, right? A good way to do that is that when they are saying their names, if you're shaking hands or if they're still in the car sitting there, you acknowledge them and you repeat that name back, okay? "Hey, nice to meet you, Jake. Great to meet you, Samantha. Thanks for coming in," right? Make sure that you do that. Make sure you remember it. Jot it down if you have to, but just remember their names. I have actually been sold a car to where they ask again, "Hey, can I get your name again?" And I've been talking to them now for 30 minutes. It doesn't feel very good. So during this conversation, you're going to try to learn as much as you can about them, what brings them in, what kind of car, color, size, make, model, whatever, right? This is all information that you want to be getting down. You can jot it down quickly in shorthand, bullet points as you're talking to them, kind of like a waiter does when they're taking a food order, which is totally fine. You're going to remember that and you're going to use it later, okay? But let's say you approach a car and they run on their window and you're asking them, they're walking around the lot and it's just kind of, hey, we're just looking, we'll let you know if we have any questions. All right. A lot of people go with that route, which is totally fine. It's going to be the majority of your shoppers, but that is okay. This is where that postcard comes into play really well and really naturally. So what you're going to do in that case is say, hey, no worries. I know we have a lot of cars on the lot. It's a big decision for you. We also have a lot of cars that are not yet on the lot. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got this postcard for you, right? I'm going to head back into the office. I got a couple things to do. But if you take this postcard, if you find anything on the lot that you want to see, test drive, have me open up, just scan this code. It's going to send me a text message and I'll come right out. That is so cool. And that is such a cool experience. It works super well. It brings their guard down. It tells them, hey, I'm still here. I'm your guy. I'm your girl. But I'm going to let you shop. I'm going to back off a little bit. But if you need me, scan that QR code and I'll come running. It also gives someone a process, right? Using technology like text messaging, which we're all super comfortable with. And, sadly enough, as society, this is kind of where we're going. We don't necessarily like to talk on the phone or face-to-face as much. So if you can give them another avenue, another way to connect with you that's really kind of less friction, they're going to use that. And they're going to use it probably more than you think. But let's say they stay, they get out of the car, you're walking them around the lot, and they're just not finding exactly what they're looking for. That also happens a lot too, as you know. That's fine. Don't be pushy. Instead, you're going to do kind of that same postcard thing. Hey, no worries. I get it. Now, I want to keep you all informed of what comes in. I've gotten more information about what you need and what you're looking for. Take this postcard. If you get home, you have any questions, just scan that. Send me a text message and I'll make sure I respond. I'll keep in touch with you all as well because I have your information. And if you don't have their information, this is a good time to get it. Good reason. And then, hey, have a great rest of the day. Have a great rest of the weekend. I look forward to talking with you again soon. Don't be pushy. Let them go. It's fine. They'll be back if you do your job. All right, so even further down, let's say they test drive a car, they like it. Now it's time to go back and do the negotiation. As much as we don't want to say it's a negotiation, it always is. It might not be price, it might not be interest rate, but it's going to be mud flaps or it's going to be something. It's always some kind of negotiation, right? And you got to be prepared for that. They're prepared for it. Most buyers now come doing their research about kind of what a car is worth. Most dealerships now are just pricing it as they price it. There's not a whole lot of negotiation on price anymore like there used to be, but there can be some. I've gotten new tires thrown into the mix. I've gotten a lot of different things, and customers are probably going to ask you for that stuff as well. And that's fine. I'm not going to go over negotiation tactics in this video because you know what you can and cannot negotiate with your dealership, okay? But one thing I do want to caution you about, and this is where a lot of salespeople fall flat on their face and don't deliver the best experiences, is that when they fill out the application or the credit report, whatever the case is, right? You then take that stuff and you go back into the office, but you don't return. You're usually sitting there for 10 or 15 minutes making that customer sit in your stark, plain office, because let's call it what it is. It usually isn't a sales dealership, right? Don't do that. Drop off the papers. Let the office know what you need to have happen, and they can page you when they're ready. Go back into your office, sit with them, continue getting to know them. Now, I know that most offices or cubicles in a dealership are pretty stark. This is where yours is going to be a little bit different. You're going to have snacks. You're going to offer to put on some kind of YouTube Kids video for the kids, right? Let them entertain themselves, right? You're going to have something a little bit more comfortable, snacks, water, drinks, okay? And that's going to be something where you're going to hang out and you're just going to get to know them more, right? That's super, super important because they might not buy today. The figures might not be right. They got to go home and think about it, okay? But in any sales process, in any sales training, you got to stay top of mind, all right? That's what people need. It's kind of rare that everybody buys the first time anyway, but play the long game and play it right. Also, by doing this, you've gotten their information ahead of time. You're doing all the right things. So if they don't buy there, okay, you're now more of a friend. You've made more of an acquaintance and more of an impression with them. It's going to be a lot easier for you to keep in touch after the fact. Now, if they do leave, this is where a lot of the information that you've gathered comes into play, right? You want to enter that into a CRM. It's customer relationship management software tool. I don't know what your dealership has, but if they don't have one, you can buy yourself a pretty cheap one. And what you want to do is create a form. That form takes all the information that you found and it puts them into something. On that form, you're going to have different options on how often you want to follow up with those people, right? I know this sounds kind of complex. It's actually not that hard to build. So if you have any questions on it, let me know. We build this stuff all the time. But let's say you have a couple different options and you want to follow up because these people are urgently looking for a car. And there's a daily option. There's a weekly option. There's a monthly option. You click that. The system will then send you automated task reminders to follow up with those people at that frequency, right? It can also send them emails, text messages, whatever information you have. That's going to allow you to not only enter the details about what they're looking for, but it's going to make sure that you don't drop the ball and not follow up with them while some other rep is going to go steal them. You don't want that to happen, so this is the process you need to put in place. But let's say they do buy. Fantastic! Congratulations on the sale. But your job is not done yet. Car salespeople are notorious for never following up. You say you will, but you really don't. Or you might do it once or twice in the wrong frequency order or at the wrong time. And then you just stop following up. One thing I always do, and I always tell sales reps to do this, or any kind of reps, is that if you're going to follow up, ask them when the right time is. Ask them how they like to be followed up with, and that's information you put into your CRM, right? So hey guys, thanks so much for coming in. I'm gonna give you this postcard. You can scan me if you have any questions, right? If I follow up with you maybe, each day and give you new options or maybe on a weekly basis, what's the best way to follow up with you? And then what times do you prefer to get those? Is it after work? Is it during? What works for you? Record that information, make good on it. It's gonna go a long way. But again, now, if they're a customer, what you really want to be doing is setting reminders to follow up, maybe on a monthly basis. Just check in, see how the car is doing, okay? Because remember, once you sell, you're kind of out of the process, right? If they have any issues with it, they go to service. They don't really go to you. Make sure they come to you as well. Be an advocate for that customer, right? If they're anything like me and they buy cars often, they're going to come back to you every single time. They're also going to tell their friends and family and be an advocate for you. By following up with them, not only are you making sure their experience is great, but it also gives you a reason to then ask for referrals later on. It's a lot easier to do that if you have been, really doing a great job. They're more comfortable referring you to friends or family or people they know looking to buy a car because you've done such a great job. So there you go. There's some ways to become a better car salesperson. Everything I've just discussed with you are things that I've put in place for other dealerships and other car salespeople, and it works. So good luck. Go out and get it. And I hope these really help. I'll talk to you next time.